Residents Council. It's good to have it. Who's been outside? Anybody? A lot of people there that are not even smarter than I am. So I went out there too. Nancy Boyer, invocation.
I have a thought for the day. Rise above the storm and you will find some sunshine. Let us pray. Dear God, we're so very grateful at this very moment to have a roof over our head, food to eat, clean clothes to wear, a warm bed to sleep in, drinkable water, electricity, and more. We take so much for granted when there is so much to be grateful for. Please bring peace to our country and to the world. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in it. Amen.
Amy Chapman.
I know we have a full agenda. I'll be as brief as I can. Occupancy, we are at 93% occupied in independent living. We have many new residents moving in within the next few months. We have scheduled 4 new families for the month of February, 4 families scheduled for the month of March, and already 2 for April. As I shared in last week's meeting when Chris was here, we are probably the most competitive community to get into. I'd like to think about it along the same lines as I thought about it when my daughter and my son were applying to college. The better schools have less of a chance of you getting in. We are at about 50% right now, and we tend to turn people away due to 1 or 2 things. One is their cognition, as they are given an exam, and we ask that they score a certain amount on that exam. The other is physical abilities, and we will continue to do that. I share this, and I will share it as often as I can, because I know that a lot of you have friends in the community whose desires are to live here. Please tell them to think about those things and not put off their decision to move here. I think that most of our residents are happy. We want them to be happy as well, and there's nothing more difficult for our marketing team to do than deliver the bad news to someone who is hoping to move into Cedarfield and told that they're not accepted. The next thing on my list is weather. It's only January, folks, and we're almost entirely through our budget for snow removal. It didn't snow much last year or the year before. We will know for next year that we might get snow more than one time during the year. Understand that the safety of our residents and our team members is our main concern. Please be careful and use sound judgment when we experience inclement weather. We will do our best to ensure that roadways and sidewalks are clear, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all surfaces will be completely cleared and dry when you decide to go outside. When it snows, if you don't have to go out, don't. Wear slip-resistant shoes and stay tuned to Channel 974 for operational updates. We Care Connect. Just a reminder that each year, during the month that you moved in, you will be getting notified by a company that we contract with by the name of We Care Connect. They reach out to residents by either phone, text, or email to gather information about your satisfaction. Please make sure that if they call you or reach out, you're candid and give them feedback as to what it's like to live here. Also keep in mind, if you have a concern before that time comes around, that we're always here to listen and would appreciate a heads up if the concern might affect other residents as well. Virginia Living Best Retirement Community Contest. I'm very competitive. I had the most recipes in my daughter's preschool cookbook. I sold the most popcorn when my son was a Boy Scout. And in I'm not going to share the year, I was the New York State sit-up champion for girls in high school. That being said, I have already voted twice for us to be the best retirement community in Virginia Living. I'm asking you to please consider voting for us as well. If you're not great with a cell phone or the internet, we will have Maria in the back of the room from marketing at the end of the meeting, and she can help you if you would like. But if you do choose to vote for us, please know that we appreciate your vote, and we hope that you share the opportunity to vote with some of your friends and family as well. The website is Virginia Living Magazine. I think it's .com. It's very easy to find, and if you're not here when Maria's here, you can come by my office and I can help you with that too. Rehab reminder, Functional Pathways is our provider for rehab, and they have recently changed the way they compensate their therapists. This has nothing to do with us. But now their therapists are only being paid for the time they spend with residents. We love our therapists and we don't want them to go anywhere. We want to keep them happy. What that means for us as a community is that we need to show up for appointments on time. And if we know that we're going to cancel an appointment, please do so as early as possible so another resident might be able to take your slot. If you have any questions about that, and I know that I shared this with a few people over the last couple of weeks, please come see me after the meeting. I'll provide you with more information. And lastly, the EFIS project. Because of the weather, the EFIS project has been put on hiatus. I think there will be good days and bad days to come depending on the weather, but we will keep you up to date on Channel 974 as well as on the Facilities Corner icon on the Cedarfield app. Has everybody seen that new icon on the app, on the My Cedarfield page? Look for it. We are working with the maintenance team to put periodic updates about things that are happening in the community there. It's a great place to get information, especially if you're not at Cedarfield and you don't have access to Channel 974 or the concierge task. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. No snow. Good thing we don't live in Florida or Louisiana. You should have received your minutes by now. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? That takes care of that. The three people I want to thank, and I think all of you will probably want to thank them too. We had an amazing team fundraising and party in December. And I just want to thank three people. One is Paul Springman and Pat Sullivan, who did the fundraising. Would you mind just standing up for a second? Is Pat here? Pat just came back from the mountain, I think. And the last one is the chairman of the team party, Grace Ann Miller. Would you stand up? Thank you for all that y'all have done. We have some good news today. Elsa Falls is going to tell us about scholarship for team members.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? All right. We have awarded 6 scholarships to members of our wonderful team, those that work here at Cedarfield and perform all kinds of wonderful tasks for us. I'm going to ask them to come up one at a time so that you can see them. Sylvia Fine is going to give them a certificate, and then I think you're going to have a group photograph. So where would you like them to, when they're through, just stand over there? Okay. The photographer is here and is going to take your pictures. We awarded for the spring semester 6 scholarships for people who want to continue their education in some way so that they can better serve us here at Cedarfield. And I want you to meet them today. You probably already know most of them, but that's what we're going to do today. we awarded almost $22,000 totally. One person didn't get $22,000, we divided it up. So there, but the total awarded for these people was almost $22,000. First one is Laurie Andrews. Laurie, could you come up here? Laurie is the move-in coordinator here at Cedarfield. She was awarded a scholarship to complete the last class in the Basic Interior Design Certificate Program through the New York School of Interior Design. Thank you, Laurie. Next is Florence Brooks. Florence is Director of Resident Life and Wellness here at Cedarfield, and her award was for a course entitled Aging and Human Values, which she took at VCU. Over time, Florence hopes to complete a master's in gerontology, which she believes is a crucible for all of her interests and will benefit her in her role of developing leaders for the unique task of working with older adults and their families. Congratulations. Next is Kendall Lawrence. Kendall is a maintenance technician here at Cedarfield. He was awarded a scholarship for the appliance repair program. So all your appliances will now be fixed even better. Congratulations, Kendall. Next is Stormy Tally Haley. She is not here. She is a CNA. She was awarded she has taken 3 online courses through ODU. She's pursuing an undergraduate degree and eventually hopes to earn a master's in healthcare administration. Next, Mariah Robinson. Who is a resident life and wellness administrative assistant. Mariah was awarded a scholarship for last semester, but we didn't have a chance to recognize her. She was awarded for coursework, 3 different courses actually: Success in Business, Organizational Behavior, and Values-Based Leadership. And she feels each of these will help her in her current role with communication and teamwork with many different residents and team members. Congratulations. Is Riley here? Okay, our 6th one is Riley Eppenheimer, who's a member of the dining staff. He was awarded a scholarship for coursework at VCU. He is working on a master's in social work. He desires to pursue a career in a field that will help others. Congratulations.
For the team gift and for these scholarships, thank yourself too, because that's where the funds come from. All right, tonight, this time is Cedar Chest and Shop at 2300.
Hello everybody, I'm Denise Bakula and I'm a volunteer at the Cedar Chest and at the Shop at 2300. And since we just got finished with our holiday season, I had to tell you a little bit about both places. The Cedar Chest, thanks to volunteers and shoppers, had a fabulous holiday season. We are grateful for all of you who support the efforts of the Cedar Chest to support the philanthropies in our community. We are stocked with clothing, household items, jewelry, and much more, and the Cedar Chest will be open tomorrow for your shopping pleasure. We look forward to seeing you there. The shop at 2300. Records have been set and we are excited. The shop at 2300 set a record in sales for the holiday season, and it's thanks to all of you. What would we do without you? I don't want to find out. All right, do you all remember the mystery bags the shop sold a few months ago? Well, next month, in honor of Valentine's Day, the shop will offer bigger and better goodies. Mystery bags filled with special goodies. Now, we're going to charge $10 for these bags, but I promise you there will be a minimum of double that amount in the bag. So minimum $20 and probably more. Be sure to stop by and get yours. And today I want to take time today to thank a special volunteer at the shop. I hear from many of you how much you enjoy our advertisements on Channel 974. Well, Rose Studer, one of our residents, is the person responsible for the creative and sometimes funny ads that you see. Please thank her when you see her. The ads are as special as she is. Thank you all.
Vacra, Sally Wood.
Well, I'm Sally Wood, and I'm now president of Cedarfield Vacra. And we decided we were going to make this real clear from now on that Cedarfield Vacra is us, and then Vacra is the state, and NAPRA, I never can say that, NACRA is the national organization. And I'm replacing Charlotte Bailey, which is a hard thing to do. And she has just done a wonderful job increasing our numbers by 100%, and also devising some programs and choosing a wonderful group of people to lead us, including the leadership of Roger Dowdy, and now the leadership of Kay Summers. And these programs, if you work with a forum or any program, it's very time consuming for the people who find the speaker and then produce it. So we have to thank them for their job. And now Charlotte, who has been a leader, as you all know, she is very forward thinking, has a grace about her that has gotten us on the map. We are the biggest continuing care facility in the state now, and considered the leader of the pack as far as ideas about how to expand the program and how to do useful things. Now, one of the useful things we're doing this winter is what I call a trilogy of programs. We had one on January 17th when Catherine Henderson came. And she used to work here. She's now a bereavement coordinator. And she started the question rolling that we posed, which is questions which are, is your house in order? And secondly, are there things you don't want to talk about but really need to? And this is about the process of living, and which includes death and your decisions you have to make to live. And I want to stress the February 21st meeting here in the fellowship hall at 10 o'clock, which is a Friday. And this is a presentation of a PBS 1-hour documentary film called Being Mortal. And it's based on a book by Dr. Atul Gawande. He's a surgeon, writer, and public health researcher. And a quote about this movie and about the book, and I quote, "It's riveting, honest, and humane, Being Mortal, shows how the ultimate goal is not a good death, but a good life, all the way to the very end. The film is very emotional and thought-provoking. It will be here on the 21st at 10. There will be a sign-up sheet. You'll see that process when time comes. And we'll have a break, and something to, little refreshment. Then we'll have a panel discussion. And on the panel will be Melissa Ellison, who's the social worker. Catherine Henderson will be back and will serve the function of a chaplain. Ann Hopper as a nurse, and then Dr. Greg Cook will be part of the panel. And this all rose, the trilogy for 3 months of programs came from a question that kept coming to Charlotte and a question that kept coming to me. And we've expanded on answering that question, but the question was, I have no family, or my family's out of town and I really don't know what will happen about their ability to come here to Richmond to help me. What happens? And I think one of my first responses was, the Lord helps those who helps themselves. Because if you have your documentation ready and you have thought of all the ins and outs, then you know you aren't going to relinquish any power. You've already asserted that power in planning. And then Cedarfield will tell you exactly what they do to help you, and all of us under any circumstance. So the third of the trilogy will be on March 21st, and that's when we'll be dealing with the 5 Wishes I'll do this again. The 5 Wishes Living Will program, and that will extend the paperwork and other things where you get a chance to state your intentions, what you want. It's pretty weighty 3 months for us. And we already have the rest of the year scheduled out. And I want you to know that the present executive committee is myself, Sally Wood, as president, and Pat Sullivan as vice president. She's the person who now will take over the responsibilities of membership. And Bob Staples will stay in as secretary, and I cannot tell y'all what a masterful job he has done. You know, sometimes it's good to have these men around. And then Francis Aiken, also having done a great job with all our treasure, what might be $200 at a time, will stay on as treasurer. And so that I won't jinx the luck we've had with membership, which has been astronomical. And in honor of Charlotte Bailey, I always have applications handy.
The next report is from the nominating committee. Pardon my excitement. The nominating committee was Don Branson, Denise Petula, who was just up here, and Ann Williams, because she was unable to be here when they elected the chairman, is the chairman.
Actually, we tried to elect Don Branson, who was not there at the first meeting, but he declined. And I'd like to just put an addendum to Sally's report she was just giving on making sure that your paperwork is in order. A friend of mine died in October. She had a signed will from 2005. Since that time, however, she and her husband had divorced, and at the time, everything was being left to him. There was an unsigned one in 2020. The good news is the ex-husband said right away, I decline any and all things, but it has been one heck of a mess for the family. So I encourage you to follow up with Sally's programs from back on end of life. Nominating committee, Don Branson, Denise Bakula, and I have had an interesting fall. We were tasked with finding 3 people to fill 3 positions: president-elect for the 25-26 year, and then automatically move into the role as president on March 1, 2026. Secretary-elect for the 25-26 year, move into secretary March 1, 26, and secretary-elect to serve the remainder of this year, which is this month and next month, and then automatically move into the role of secretary on March 1. And Cedarfield is very lucky we have found 3 individuals to take these roles. Helen Horwitz has been nominated for President of Residence Council for the 25-26 year. She was married to a pediatric dentist and photographer par excellence, with whom she had 3 children. When she was not busy volunteering in the community, she was a travel consultant and has been most any place in the world. She's the consummate volunteer, having served as president of the Jewish Community Center and the Jewish Federation. She volunteers weekly at Feed More and the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts and has lived here for more than a year. Thank you, Helen. Suzanne Fountain has agreed to serve as secretary-elect for 25-26. She is a social worker whose career in child welfare services included direct work with families in the Tidewater area, as well as program administration in Richmond, Chesterfield, and the state office. Her favorite activities are walking, reading, movies, and travel. Walking has been difficult since she moved to Cedarfield, since she's had 2 knee surgeries, but she's on the fast track. 2 knee surgeries and 2 stays in healthcare. Most of us have lived here lots longer and have not got that to say. She's now ready to take on an active role in our community. And Marty Rittenhouse, who is already serving as secretary-elect, even though not elected, has been here for 7 years. She's worked for the Federal Reserve System for 34 years, 8 of which were in Richmond. She served as area rep for Area 1 for 2 years and is currently on the communications and library committees. Marty enjoys knitting, loves reading, particularly adventure mystery novels, and dogs. The 3rd position is one that we need to vote on today. The other 2 names will be posted outside the internal mail room, also known as the Cubby Room, until the February meeting of the Residents Association of Cedarfield on February 26th. Their elections will occur at that time. According to the bylaws of Cedarfield Residents Association, any member may propose 1 or more additional nominees who have consented to their nomination by contacting me, the chair of the nominating committee, at least 15 days before the annual meeting, and the names submitted shall be posted on the slate that'll be outside the Cubby Room. It's been a pleasure to work with Don Branson and Denise Pakula. Thank you both for your hard work. I move to nominate Marty Rittenhouse to serve as secretary-elect for 2020, 24, and 25, and then to move into the position of secretary on March 1, 2025. Frank?
Marty Rittenhouse's name has been placed in nomination for the remainder of this year. Are there any additional nominations? Are you sure? Thought not. Is there a second? Second. We have a motion to second. The voters are the members of the Residence Council, who are the officers, the committee chairs, and the area reps. Everyone who is in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Marty. The next report is the facilities, and who is that?
Our annual report is that we have met 6 times during the past year. We generally meet quarterly beginning in March, and then we've had 2 special called meetings this year as well. The major action that we took over the year was a recommendation for the Maintenance and Engineering Department to increase its communication with residents, and it's working on that. And there is, as Amy said, there is an icon now on your mycedarfield.com that says Facilities Corner. And I'm going to ask somebody who knows how to do it to put it right next to Facilities Work Orders so that you'll have your 2 facilities things right together. Right now there are 2 announcements. One is about EFAS, one is about water filters, which I believe they have completed the water filters. Yes. I would ask that you always read the full minutes of the Facilities Committee. It is the major way we have of communicating with residents. We generally cover 30 to 40 items in any meeting, and I only report on those that are the biggest or of the most interest to the most people. So do read your facilities committee minutes. In December, we talked about wayfaring internal signs. These are the ones that point the direction to Cedar Chest or administrative offices or clinic, whatever. The next phase will be the internal signs that will go by rooms, such as administration, clinic, certain meeting rooms. Another item, live streaming has been completed. EFAS Phase 2 will begin very soon. Exactly when depends on the Lord above. Recent problems with Xfinity included folks who had either moved to Cedarfield or moved within Cedarfield, but no one had notified Xfinity of these different people. And so that caused some of the problems in your connections there. Cedarfield has now put in place a process to eliminate that sort of confusion in the future. Another problem was either loose wiring or incomplete wiring of getting to the final destination where the wire needed to be. 3-chop widening. Thank you, Frank Miller, for our wonderful traffic light that is out there. As the project moves along, it will take a couple of years probably before the street gets down this far to widen, but we will have Cedarfield Parkway will widen at the exit to give 2 larger turning lanes. There are currently 2 turning lanes, but if you're not careful, you may straddle sort of in the middle, so there'll be 2 wider ones. We will also lose some of our property at the front, and a retention pond will go out there on the right-hand side, and we will lose some of the dead trees that are out there. In January, we held a budget meeting. Part of it was to discuss year-to-date budget, and we are tracking to end within budget, but that was before snow removal costs got in there, but we hope we'll be in under budget. Capital budget requests include a number of automatic doors that we have requested. They are in our minutes in December. We had inquiries about the water that's constantly on the lane, and James is working with 3 different engineering firms to address this. Sidewalk leveling is in this year's budget for $50,000 and next year's budget for $180,000. And then finally, the speaker boxes that are at the end of each wing as you come in that will allow people who do not have a fob to access the wing. There is a new company working on these, and the first one to be installed will be at the Parkview entrance. The last thing we discussed was parking. Cedarfield provides for us marvelously wide sidewalks that will accommodate 2 of us walking side by side on rollators or with dogs or whatever. The problem occurs when we do not park in our parking spaces. There is space marked off next to the curb that indicates the parking space. Some people want to pull their car up until the wheels touch the curb, which then means their vehicle extends 1 to 2 feet over the sidewalk and narrows the sidewalk. It gets even worse during snowy weather because then the snow is on the hood of the car, then drops down onto the sidewalk and makes ice if the weather continues to be cold. So I would encourage you to park in your parking space. Any questions about the December, January, or any annual report? Thank you.
The next report is one I've been looking forward to. We all know what the Flower Guild does, but I don't know much about who it is and how they do it. I figure there's like 50 professional florists who work 8 days a week putting all those beautiful flowers out, but Louise the Rucker has agreed to come and tell us a little bit more about the Flower Guild.
Well, it is a pleasure to tell you something about what's been going on there. In excess to 1,500 fresh flower arrangements are placed throughout the campus within the course of the year. 1,500. We have 18 diligent members of the Flower Committee who fuel this process and give extraordinary ways when they're scheduled to and when they're not to make sure this happens. This also comes with giveaway flowers almost every week. The gently used ones that still have a little life in them and would like to go home with you are given away at the flower room on most Thursday mornings, Friday mornings, take that back, Friday mornings. So hope that's something you can stop by and avail yourself of. We don't really announce it because they go so fast. Once it's on there, they'll usually have stop by people who are happy to take them away. The workshop was given just last week for people who were new to Cedarsville or had never taken a workshop in fresh flowers. And they did an incredible job. I told them I've never seen a group and workshop do so well, which was just wonderful. And I'm hoping we're gonna pick up 4 to 8 members to the Flower Committee, because what we do does take a lot of time. It's awfully nice to have backup people, regular people scheduled, and people who are learning what to do with this. Among the pleasures for me of working with the Guild is watching members grow in their skills and confidence. An awful lot of flower arranging is confidence. That you're confident, you put it in, it's gonna look like it should. So that helps. And there are so many people who comment on how much the flowers mean to them across the campus. And another reward for me is being able to tell the gals what I've heard about what they've done and let them know how much it's appreciated around here. Now, one thing, this last year we've had 46 arrangements contracted to say it with flowers. You know, there's little cards that go up to tell you who's given and what it's about and so on. And oftentimes if I'm working in a public space where one of the girls are, somebody will say, do you have a card for this week? And there's much excitement because that way we can share whatever it is. And that means so much within our community. So I urge you to think of what you might say with flowers. Would you like to honor someone, remember someone, give thanks for someone, show gratitude? Any number of things like that can be done. The simplest thing can bring warmth to the heart and fellowship within our community. I also appreciate that this hands-on giving committee does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. I need to tell you, this is one happy chairman. Thank you.
Health Services, Mary Ann Johnson. Any of you have not been to the Health Services meeting, you need to be there and see how much Mary Ann knows about what's going on and how she talks. I don't know what they're talking about, but I sure enjoy listening.
This is basically the year-end report for the Healthcare Committee. I took a tumble and was unable to be at the last meeting. So the Healthcare Committee is chaired by myself and Dr. Grayson Miller, and we meet every other month, so that's 6 times a year. We did meet this January because we didn't meet in December for the budget. So we try to meet with the administration about a week or 10 days before the committee, which includes the Director of Nursing, the administration, the social workers, assisted living administrator, and anyone else that wants to show up and go over what is going on in healthcare, what the census is, what the staffing is, what the ratio of staff to patients are there any ongoing problems, call bell response times, what do they see, what do they have coming up, and what we have heard from residents or just out general in the committee. When we meet, we go over all of these with the entire committee, and anyone that has heard from a resident or has a concern, we try to address that and get it into the appropriate channels. Many times people contact me with a problem, and I usually directly go to who I think should handle it that is in the administration, because some of them are things that I can't do anything about without their help. So that's what, and then we try to do educational meetings for all of the residents once or twice a year. This past summer and fall, we did have a rep for the prescription D plans for your prescription coverage come and talk about it and have the forms available that we then got to him so he could go over individual pricing and meet one-on-one with the residents. We are having one coming up in April, which is sort of a repeat from several years ago, but it was very successful and there are a lot of new residents, which is what to do if you go to the hospital. If something happens to you outside of Cedarfield, they don't know that's where you are. And how everything works behind the scenes for when you are coming back to Cedarfield. So they know exactly what you need and have everything prepared. And having unfortunately met the floor in October and having to go through the whole thing myself, it really works. So that will be coming up this April. That's the end of the report.
Mary Ann's been doing all of this on a new knee and upper leg. Religious life, Nancy Boyer.
I'm Nancy Boyer, Chairman of the Religious Life Committee. The religious life comes under two umbrellas. One is the Angel Fund, and the other one is our Altar Guild. And I don't think our Altar Guild gets the kudos that they should get, so I am saying thank you to all the girls who do the flowers, set up the altar, do the communion, and all the things that they do to make our services really good. So that is our Altar Guild. This month is Angel Fund Month, and so I want to read to you because I know there are a lot of new people here who probably don't understand the difference between a Angel Fund and a Samaritan Fund or whatever fund. So I'm going to read this to you so that maybe it'll make some sense. The Religious Life Committee of the Residence Council, in conjunction with the Pastoral Services, established the Angel Fund many years ago to come to the assistance of members of the Cedarfield community who have been faced with crisis. Angel Fund's financial support comes primarily from residents' donations. The determination of appropriate receipts and amounts. Oops, I got that wrong. Wait a minute. The Religious Life Committee of the Resident Council and the chaplains make the determination of appropriate receipts and amounts. Any resident, employee, contract employee, or volunteers of the community may make a request to the committee to nominate a person who is undergoing a crisis and might be qualified for the receipt of assistance. All requests are held in strict confidence, and a qualified recipient may only be designated by the committee. To make a contribution, simply drop off a check at the boxes located at the concierge desk, business office, or assisted living. Checks may be payable to Cedarfield Angel Fund, and it's not on here, but they are all, I can't think of the word, well, anyway. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that the Angel Fund does start this February. It runs, the Angel Fund runs from March to February. And in the past year, we have approved about $53,000 for 24 requests. This helps employees and others who have large bills such as behind on their rent, or medical bills, or car problems, or all kinds of really big problems. That helps with that. At the end of January, you will receive a brochure in your mailboxes that will tell you about the Angel Fund, and we hope that you will give and help us out, because as you can see, we have a lot of money that we put out this last year. Does anybody have any questions? Tax exempt was what I was trying to say, yes.
That's three you've heard of this morning, this afternoon, the WE fund, the team gift, the scholarship fund, and the annual fund, and that's not all there is. The next is the safety committee, Ray Gunn.
Can you hear me all right? I usually have too soft a voice, so I have to ask. They just asked me to talk a little bit about what we did last year. And it has been somewhat useful contributions, but only because of the cooperation and support we get from the Cedarfield staff. We can't really do anything. All we can do is talk about it. They're the ones that actually can do something. And we were most delighted to have James Hicks show up and be part of our committee, but also do what he's doing, which is, I think, wonderful. During the year, we started something called the Be Aware slides that most of you know, have seen on Channel 974, to pass along thoughts about how we can live a safer life here, the things we can do to be safe, and other useful pieces of information. And I want to thank the Communications Committee and Mary Esther Cawthorn for her support in actually coming up with the ideas and leading us through the process. We have for some time wanted somebody on the committee that could speak for the vision impaired community. There are special safety needs that we wouldn't necessarily be aware of unless we had someone who was knowledgeable about that. And we're most delighted to have Jane Hessler on our committee starting this month. The Good Neighbor program, Frank's invention, we started last year. We continue to work on that this year. We've added more stickers, more people who wanted the recognition. And I've been able to acquire stickers for anyone who is either has a vision impairment or hearing impairment, that if they wanted to call attention to that so that in the event of an emergency, people would know that they would need some extra help. Those stickers are available through the Good Neighbor program, and just let me know. We did promulgate guidelines for power-operated vehicles. There's been some concerns about some safety relative to that, and I think we've made some improvements. And the changes that we made in the traffic flow between C and D parking lots has, in my opinion, made a significant improvement in the people's attention to driving safety back in that area, especially for stopping at the stop signs. So those are the sort of key highlights. If any safety-related items come to your mind, just pop by. I'll be happy to take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. Wellness and Leisure, Nancy Springman.
Thank you, Frank. First, I'd like to share my annual report with you all. My first item on my agenda is to thank all my committee members, Mitzi Emery, Marta Giannoni, Martha Cole Glenn, Judy Johnson, Faith Cowders, Jane Kelly, Ted McCormack, Barbara Rose, Jerry Simonoff, and Susan Woolley. Without their help and assistance, I would not be able to do what I do as chair of this committee. I would also like to thank the team members who support us in what we do. The biggest thanks go to Katrin Hudala. Without her, our committee could not do what we do. In addition, I'd like to send kudos out to Carol Thompson and Sarah Ferguson, who are also essential to the work of our committee. My full report will be in the resident council minutes, and I will only highlight a few of the main things that we accomplished this year. On a monthly basis, we meet and review and comment on the monthly calendar for all Cedarfield events for the following month. This year we assisted with this September Pathways to Wellness Showcase. We respond to resident concerns regarding any wellness and leisure activity issues. We sponsor parties throughout the year, such as the Super Bowl party, the Kentucky Derby party, and others. We are involved in working with veterans events. We have been managing some issues this year related to the TV and the Atrium Cafe. We explored and helped implement the Health, Sports, and Motion program that was done this year. And we revised the resident-run clubs and groups brochure. Other activities, as I said, will be highlighted in the minutes of the meeting. The second thing I would like to talk about is to just highlight some of the things that happened at our most recent Wellness and Leisure Committee meeting, which was held on January 14th. One of the things we discussed was how to handle no-shows for programs that involve meals. The committee suggested to Katrin that she develop a policy stating that residents who do not cancel attendance at a program involving a meal at least 24 hours before the program would be charged for the meal. There has been some issues with several times with lots of people not coming after they've registered for that particular program. We continue to have discussion about the transition to electronic reservations for all the activities here at Cedarfield. Those are ongoing. Katrin is going to develop a small focus group that's going to actually be instructed and try to use the registration system, and we're looking probably, actually, my committee members are here. I have a memo that's coming out to you probably today, but we've decided that the focus group will be the committee members, because we have a wide variety of people on our committee with various acumens with IT issues, so we figured that would be a great group to start with. So we're going to do that. Also, I'd like to point out that we are planning a Super Bowl party, and it will be held on February 5th, starting at 5:30 in the Atrium Cafe. Please come and enjoy some refreshments and some food, and enjoy watching the Super Bowl with all your neighbors. One thing that we recently started working on with Carol Thompson is there's now a level 4 adventurers outing program. And our first experience is going to be this Friday, where a group of us are going to experience at a place called Peak Experiences. We're going to do rock climbing wall. So wish us all luck, and hopefully none of us end up in healthcare. The other thing that we did this week was talk about some issues related to audiovisual problems in Prima Club Room and in the Fellowship Hall, which are being addressed, and some other issues that were related to the Atrium TV. The Veterans Group, you'll be hearing more from them. They're actually going to participate in something called the Honor Flight Program, and that group is speaking to residents here at Cedarfield who are veterans to see if they would like to fly to Washington, D.C. to participate in that event later this year. And that's all I have for my annual report and my monthly report. Are there any questions regarding wellness and leisure? Okay, thank you.
That completes the annual report that we started in December. Did I skip over the library? I'm sorry. It's something about Sally's library. I'm sorry. That does not complete the report.
Well, I really don't have a very long report, so I'm back. I did not get anyone to replace me, which is fine. The library's been very successful. A lot's been done. I've delegated a lot of the work. But anybody that comes along who has a great love of our library should volunteer to be the chair, because I whittled this down to a reasonable amount of work for me. And we are in maintenance now. We did so many big projects over the last years that they're done. And then if I can keep 2 young ladies on a committee from always plotting for another project, then we'll be in good stead. But I do want you to know that we have 2.5 pages of an overview of what was done in the library just in 2024. And I think you can see that thousands of hours have been donated by the staff of some 27 library workers. So we're down to business with maintenance, and do look at the overview. Particularly note that the renovation process will explain how this came about and why the library looks so doggone good now. And then particularly the emphasis I should make on the balcony library. Ted McCormick and his team did a masterful job of bringing this up to definitive works of history, etc. It's no longer an attic like it had been for years, where we got a donated book, we put it up in the balcony library. And I do have 2 staff members I want to give great credit to. Annie Kendall, who is Health Service Administrative Assistant. And I found her days on end in the library. And she was looking at all our books, and I engaged her in conversation, and boy, I think she's read half of them. She's a voracious reader. So if you know that on top of the portable paperback bookshelves, there's where we put paperbacks that obviously are being recommended for your read. Well, Annie does that. And one book is taken out one day, the next day she's plugged in another one. She did all the holiday books. And it's just fun to be around somebody that likes to read. And some people have caught on to something. If Annie's in there and you want to have a recommendation for a good book, get a hold of her, because she can ask you what you like to read and she'll recommend something. And the rest of us are amazingly limited in being able to do this. I don't read fiction, so I'm a likely person to ask, but I have my repertoire about 6 books that are constantly checked out, because those are the 6 I recommend. And then Mariah Robinson, what can you say? We would not be the library we are today without her. And I think we've all said over and over, and she has to be hearing this now, that she is just a marvelous person to work with, and boy, does she know what she's doing. And I must be the person that frustrates her the most on earth, because I have no aptitude for computers. And I sort of need it in this job. So I just want y'all to thank her, and also to find out who Annie is and get a hold of her.
I think I've checked them all off, but we have all of them this time. Are there any questions about what's going on today? Any new business? Any old business? Any area reps that would like to say something? Are there any new residents, say, with it since Christmas here today? No new residents? Go get your raised hand. Okay, well, I end today with a saying with one of my most trusted philosophers, Grace Ann Miller. I hear this often: because you grow older, you don't have to grow up. I have a motion to adjourn.